Seconds. All right. 3, 2. Welcome everyone to the NCBBL inaugural season weekly wrap-up. This is for weeks 3 and 4. I know we missed the last week's one, so we're making it up now. So inevitably this will be a much tighter and faster paced weekly wrap-up than usual. So in that vein, let us get started. I am your host, Strom, and with me I have Mad Catter and Skilfer.
Aloha.
Alright, so let's start off with week 3. That was, I think, a pretty boring week.
Yeah, I think
There were a lot of ties, and the people who did win didn't win by a whole lot.
except for Smoopy.
Well, that's a conversation I actually would like to have at the end. So, let's go through here. Catter, would you mind bringing up the first game to talk about?
First game of week 3 is Lawful Good versus Cirque du Glace. That is where's that on my list here? Oh, there it is. So Strom versus Galen versus Strom, pretty much. It was an interesting match. I think mostly the first half, right?
All I remember about that was thinking to myself, oh god, oh no, oh god, oh, he's down, oh no, oh god, get the ball, run.
Right. And
That was pretty much my entire strategy in that.
Right, you suffered a tie in that match, so a 1-1 tie. The thing that struck me about this match was Galen, after how many games now, finally came in. Right, came in with better positioning, better caging and marking players a lot better than he has since pretty much
Even in the league we ran before this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, of all the people in this league, I think Galen is the one who has improved quite drastically the most.
100%.
He is he started, and he wasn't the worst by any stretch, but man, has he turned into quite a fearful opponent.
Right. I mean, like he even served you like a pro, man. So I'm giving him props to that.
I believe that was the first game that I suffered an injury.
Yes, definitely.
And luckily it was not a long-term injury, but
No.
It was still the first game in this league that I suffered an injury. And so it's props to him for that.
Yeah.
Well, not my problem. That's what I thought about that.
Yeah, I've already gone against him as well. It won't be a problem unless he gets to the well, he probably will at this rate. It makes it to the championship.
Yep, we'll have to see about that. Then it would be our problem.
But that match was mostly pretty much Bonehead versus Galen not running on the third turn, which could have been ended up tragic for him.
I think what really turned that game into a 1-1 tie instead of a 0-1 win on Galen was he threw a 1-die block to try and surf one of my guys, and it ended up being an attacker down with no rerolls, and that allowed me to score in the first half. And that's really, I think, the only reason that it's a 1-1 tie, rather than a 0-1 loss in Galen's favor.
Yeah. So I guess that would take us into the second game of the week, which is the Stupid Stunties. Yes, the Battle of the Brothers. Stupid Stunties versus Toomey Aches. Nemo versus
the old
Arky.
Tennessee Civil War.
The Tennessee Civil War. I'm pretty assume it's going to be North versus South on that, but hey.
Yeah, that was a very interesting match. I'm very surprised it actually ended up being a 1-1 tie, although from how much Dorn keeps complaining about the stupid mistake that he made that allowed him to be a 1-1 tie, I think that was a good learning experience.
Hmm. No, he's down to three. He had three. He had three in that game. In that match, he had three. But one of them kept on getting knocked down. Hmm.
Yeah, just couldn't capitalize on it.
Now, let's see. Right. That chain that ball and chain down in the first play of the game kind of helped out with that. So it got tangled up. It looked like this was a match of stuns and KOs. A lot of KO players, a lot of stuns. Uh, had had gave that advantage to both sides. So and we can't forget about enough Briggs sacrifice, from a couple of games ago, which allowed the troll to, in an act of desperation, to throw another goblin, but not eat him this time. And I thought that was an amazing turn of events. Now he didn't throw him well, but he didn't eat him, so that was thank you, Nuffbrig. Thank you.
Hero, what a hero. So what was the next match?
Next match would be Cold Blooded Root Beer versus Basic Team.
Whew. Already looking at this score, it's the only score that 2 points are on one side rather than on split up between the teams.
I'll let you guys go on this one. I'll save my comments.
So the only thing that I can really say is how incredibly unlikely what happened, especially going into in week 4, which I'll talk more of then. But you were definitely down way more players than you should have been, having a higher strength team than the than Schwoopy's basic team. It just seems to me like such a drastic turn of events, especially from what we predicted in week 2.
What was the prediction?
I believe I predicted a 1-1 tie.
That's where I was thinking it was going as well. As it could have been anybody's match. Skillful, you have anything before I kick in here? Mm-hmm. More than any skink should. I think the big thing was my blocks in that match versus his. It ended up being more of a KO and injury versus stuns on my side. I did not knock out a single one of his players. I got a lot of pushes. I got a lot of stuns, right? But I never got that KO, and he was just knocking me down, injuring my people. It was hard to play. I felt that was probably my worst match I've played against a human player ever.
Not sure if
Right.
yeah, because it says here, I'm looking at the stats. You sustained 39 blocks. That's 39 successful blocks on Schmoopy's part. That versus your 28. And I expected those numbers to be in the exact opposite, considering your higher strength against his team.
Right.
Now tell me, Schmoopy has a large proliferation of block on his team. Was that did that play a huge role in that?
Not really. Um, to a degree later on in the match, but the early match where uh, I don't think it really played much in the early match. Because at that point I was just getting push, 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 push. It was in the later match when I was actually getting blocks, getting better results. That block came into play, and plus when he would hit up, I guess it worked more on his favor on his turns because he'd get an attack, both down and survive it. So all right, well, yeah,
Alright, so let's move on to the last match. Clan Thrust Plunder versus the Cold-Blooded... Oh wait, no, whoop, I'm on... it was a Clan Thrust Plunder versus Bastards of Uruk. And that was a 0-1 for the Bastards of Uruk. The only thing that I can say about this match was from what I did see of it, you definitely put a lot of pressure on him to position his orcs and to really take out, key elves in order to get those drives downfield. And he either couldn't capitalize on them, or you were pressuring him so much that he made one mistake, and that was all that was required to stop those drives.
well on and on that, um, I think the thing that was hurting him the most was he was moving downfield at the speed of stupid, really stupid. I mean, like that troll. That troll slowed him down. The troll should not have been his cage. He should have used that troll on the outside, and then that would have allowed him to move downfield a little bit better and possibly score. That's my opinion on that.
It is hard to move a cage with a big guy simply because of the really stupids or boneheads or wild animal in them, but especially a big guy as slow as a troll.
Yes.
It is tough.
One of the things that if I do use a big guy in my cage, I try to rotate him in and out so I can move farther. Use him to punch, and then close the cage back up with somebody else. That's what I'm looking for in a play like that. And when you're leading him down the field, it just doesn't that doesn't work. It slows you down, it stalls you, and gives you that potential to not get a score. And that's what happened that first match because he had that first half. He had marched it down the field, could have scored, just couldn't quite get it there.
Yeah. So, Scover, how did you feel about this game? Yeah. Yeah, it's hard when someone's running an effective L screen, it's hard to break through one. Um, and it made even more doubly it made it more difficult when you pick the wrong elves to try and break through that screen with. And if you let them screen most of your team in addition too.
Right. Which was your first win of the league, and that's key right there.
Yeah.
It bumped you up to uh,
Yeah, that's the other thing that Black Orcs are strong, but they're not fast. So they're good at making a cage, but they're not great at capitalizing on breaking an elf screen. Yeah. All right. All right. So that's week 3. Normally we'd give our uh, projections on the scores for week 4, but week 4 already happened, so we're going to jump into that.
before we do that, we usually do the death of the week. We did not have an actual death this week, but the Great Ursa came damn close. So just throwing that little shout out there. I know
That's
there's
true.
a lot of people rooting for Ursa to be downed. So
And it almost happened in week 3, but luckily the Kislev have good health care. All right, so let's jump into week 4. It it definitely was a much more interesting and entertaining week. Lots of scoring going on. All right,
yes,
so Katter, go ahead and let's talk about the first game.
first game is Stupid Stunties. That's Nemo versus Galen's Lawful Good. Uh, this is Galen's first match with his Minotaur, and man, it was it was a hard match to watch in many ways.
That Minotaur came out of the gate bucking and did a lot of work.
Right. Galen came out. He was pretty much doing what Chaos do, is bash, 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 and he caused a lot of injuries. The uh, just just that first half was pretty much Galen just dominating. So uh, like I said, this is a hard one to match. I watch. I actually, when I was doing the replay of it, I skipped through quite a bit just because like every time I looked, there was somebody getting
It
hurt
was
pretty bad.
pretty bloody. There were a lot of injured and knocked out goblins, and even an injured troll. Um, Lawful Good really did a number on stupid stunties,
Hmm.
and that Minotaur came out and really might have been the star player on that team. Um,
And he did not get
it did not get
MVP.
MVP, but he should have got MVP. It did. It got a touchdown. It got 2 injuries. It it might have been the deciding factor in that game.
Hmm. Uh, actually, it was a deciding factor, but we all know that Nemo's whole strategy now is just to chainsaw. Hurt the other team, cripple the other team. So far, it's not working very well for him. Uh, you know, you know, he's crippled himself more than he's crippled other players. Enough break, huzzah. That was a key play right there. I mean, like I said, Galen is coming up in this league, and as long as he's got his head in the game, he's
He's
a
showing
threat.
he's quite a force to be reckoned with.
Right. Uh, Positioning was one of the key things in this match, and Galen again, his positioning's improved. Uh, Nemo, I like the guy, but his positioning has a lot to be desired. But when you look at it at the aspect of what he wants to do, what his goal in this league is to do, it makes perfect sense why his positioning isn't top notch.
Yeah, yeah, it was quite the beefy match, and that Minotaur, Galen gave us a good show as to why that Minotaur was an important player on the team. All right. Yep. All right, so let's move on to the second game because we're running a little short on time. We gotta power through a little more. So, Katter, what was the second game here?
Second game was Cirque du Glace versus Cold Blooded Root Beer. Um, that was you versus me on that match. 2-1 victory for you. Um, I started out the game pretty much down a Saurus, and because I had a Saurus get injured in the previous game, along with a couple skinks. Um, Luckily, I had skinks in reserves, but that Saurus was key. So I used my a little bit of my own cash and my inducements to get myself a mercenary and level him up. A mercenary Saurus. Fat lot of good that did me. He didn't do anything in that match, by the way.
Yeah, no, he really didn't.
So
Yeah, that match went about exactly as I thought it would. It just didn't go as bad as I thought it would. Your strategies of trying to beat up my dudes was exactly what I envisioned, and so I planned accordingly. And I also put a lot of pressure on the ball, which you're already a coach who tends to make more risky plays, and you always. One thing I noticed is that when there is a lot of pressure put on you, you tend to consider the more risky plays more
yes,
rather than being safer. And there was a couple of key going for it that you went for, which were probably your undoing. I think the only reason I was able to score both those times were, I believe, a going for it that tripped up, and I was able to get the ball away.
right. One of those at least. I think the other one, your other score, I think was more legit than anything else. Um, but it could have easily gone the opposite. This match, there's a lot of positioning for both of us that made it more of a thinking match than it normally would have been. Uh, that's just my opinion on that. That's pretty much all I have to say. It was a good match. You got me. I made bad decisions at times. That's welcome to the world of Catter, right? It works
Yeah.
for me.
And
It works with me with halflings, but and Skaven, but not so much with with lizardmen. That is right. I forgot about that. I had a fumbleitis. Fumbleitis. Hmm. Definitely. Well,
Yes, yes.
I entered this match with my first like level up of one of my players. So, woohoo.
Yeah. The match went exactly as I thought it would, and that's why I said it just didn't go as bad as I thought it would. Because you beat up my team about as much as I knew it was going to happen, about as much as I had to let you in order to, mark your source and protect my ball carrier. But my team is not armor value 8 on a lot of dudes. My catchers are all armor value 7. Armor value 8 isn't as great as the orcs armor value 9 even. So my team is not exactly what you would call sturdy. And the fact that I didn't get any injuries in this game is quite a testament to my injury luck. It's the only thing that I have luck with.
Right.
But that was. Mhm. Yeah, leap is an interesting tool to keep in your toolbox. It makes people think about movement differently, and uh, it's an interesting and fun thing to be working with.
Right. I came in a little bit more conservatively, defensively than I had been on other matches. So it did its job. Right. That was the point I was trying to make on that match, but I still made quite a few that I shouldn't have gone for. Anywho, that let's move on to our next match, which would be the this
Basic
the
team versus Bastards of Uruk.
yes. We'll skip down to that one.
Oh boy, what a bloodbath that was.
3
I
0
think
on
every
Schmoopy's
three.
humans.
I think it's the first game where anyone hit more than 2 points. Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Schmoopy. 3 is a lot of score to be having in a Blood Bowl game, just in general. But oh man, that one was hard to watch. I think on average, I believe every 3 turns you lost an elf, something like that.
Pretty close to it.
It was brutal.
First half, 3 injuries, 1 death. So, and that's not counting the KOs because he had five KOs the first half. Insane. Yeah.
It, whew. I mean, you did your best, but just the injury rolls were not with you. That's just you lost. Like elves can do good under a couple of elves under, but something about Schmoopy's team. They must be packing like M9s in their gloves or something, or
Bottles of
brass
maple
knuckles or
syrup.
something. Your guys went down like their armor was tissue paper.
I don't think anybody's welcome there.
Yeah, it was it was a show. That was the
Rocks
thing.
Rocks and injuries. Rocks and injuries. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. So there really isn't much to say on that other than you got wrecked in the most unironic sense of that term. Yeah, you have no elves out on the next match, and you got 2 level ups. Oh, okay. But they're all line elves. You'll get journeyman. Alright, so then that brings us to the last match, which is the Toomey Aches vs. Clan Thrust Plunder. Unfortunately, there were some scheduling issues. Both of the teams' team wagons broke down on their way to the pitch, and that match just couldn't happen. So it ended up being a 0-0 tie. So that was by commission ruling. So let's go on to week 5's
Well, the death of the week
projections.
would be Skilford. Just throwing
yes.
that out there.
Death of the week.
I don't even care about that one. Oh, it was the MVP, wasn't he? That's classic.
Someone has a good sense of humor.
Right. All right, so next week's matchups. Starting with Arkin versus Galen. The what is it? The
good old
Toomey Aches
versus Lawful Good.
I think Galen is looking seriously forward to this match. I mean, he wants to put a hurting on Arkin. There's a little animosity between those two, so
I think he's going to do it as well, because the average armor value on the Toomey Aches is armor 7, and he has a lot of horns. He has the Minotaur with Mighty Blow, and he has the Strength 4 Chaos Warriors. So I think the Toomey Aches could be in trouble if they don't rally around those Tomb Guardians. And
right.
I'm not even sure the Tomb Guardians will be enough to stop that Minotaur with horns.
He does.
Well, remember, he had a leveled up Tomb Guardian in his match against me, and the first thing I did was kill it.
Ursa killed it, yes. The mighty Ursa. The one thing that Arkin has going for him in this match, I think, is his inducements. He is quite a bit down. He's at 1070 versus Galen's 1200.
So 130 down. That's almost enough for a wizard, if he wants to spend some real gold on that. That's definitely enough to put a mercenary Tomb Guardian up.
And maybe even level it up.
So it's going to be an interesting match. As long as Arkin can stall the bash and save his normal skeletons from getting ripped apart because they're only armor value 7, I believe that it could result in a 1-1 tie. But I honestly see this game going 0-1 or 0-2 to Lawful Good. So, Ricardo, what do you think? What do you think the score is going to be on this?
This one, I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-1 Galen. I think Arkin is actually going to get a score in there. His positioning has come up a lot better in the recent weeks, and he is itching for a win. So, I think he can pull it off. He's you got to keep his head together, and he's got to get underneath Galen's skin to do so.
Let's go for what do you think? What do you think?
Oh, why ever would you want that to happen?
All right. I already said mine. So we'll move on to the second, which is the basic team versus the Cirque du Glace. Since I am participating, I will sit out until last.
This one here, this is the battle for first place right now. Right now, you guys are both sitting 3 wins, 1 tie. I want to watch this match so bad it's not even funny. I think think the Kislev's leap might be Schmoopy's undoing, but I don't think it's going to be. I think Schmoopy's luck continues, and this is going to be another 2-0 for the humans.
Well, did I tell you to clean up your mess off the table? And make sure you get every last piece of food that you waste.
It's like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Juggernaut versus the Blob. Comic book reference.
Yeah, Yes, he does. I'm actually dreading this match quite the most, simply because of all of those level ups. It's a lot of block to deal with, and I don't have any block on my team, so that's real bad for me. Really, I think this is going to be an interesting match. We're mostly the same strength, so it's going to be a positioning heavy game. If I can out-position basic team and use leaps to my advantage, then I think that I'm going to be able to take it. I don't believe the score is going to go above 1 touchdown in each team. I think it's going to be 1-0 or 1-1.
All right. Now, at
So
the beginning of the
for-
league, would you expect this match to be what it is, knowing that Schmoopy was a rookie coach coming in with the human team?
No. Shobi, he might be the all-star of this league. He came in as a newcomer, no expectations whatsoever, and he has just become a juggernaut on the pitch. He outbashed Lizardman. He definitely really outbashed the elves. He and Camry especially, who are pretty bashy themselves. With a lot of he took on 3 Tomb Guardians, and just ran train on that team. He has definitely proven that he can, even with humans, he can bash with the best of them if you utilized properly. So. I think what I'm gonna have to do is make sure that he can't capitalize on those assists without sacrificing somewhere else on the pitch.
Now, who did he tie with earlier?
Stupid stunties because of the chainsaw.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that chainsaw ripped his team apart.
Gotcha. All right. So the next game is the the former roommate bowl, you should say. Bastards of Uruk versus Stupid Stunties. For people that don't know, that Nemo and Skillford used to be roommates, and that's how Nemo came about and whatnot. Well, that's not how he came about, but You get the gist.
No, I'm pretty sure Skilfer birthed him. But yeah, so I think that this is going to be an interesting match. It's going to be interesting. I think if Skilfer lets Nemo run around with the chainsaw, it's going to be a bad time for the elves. However, I think if Skilfer can elf screen really efficiently and make a lot of dodge squares to go through and take out that chainsaw as quickly as possible, then it could be probably a 2-0 in his favor. Otherwise, I think if that chainsaw is running around, it's going to be a tie game.
I think on this one, I think Skilfer has the win. It's going to be at least a 1-0, possibly a 2-0. And my reasoning behind this one is Nemo's out there to hurt, and that's what's hurting Nemo. If that makes any sense. I think it kind of prevents him from opportunities that he could have scoring, and I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Uh, the elves are a lot more mobile, and as long as Skilfer gets the rolls, I think he's done. I can see Skilfer winning this one. Hands on.
Skipper, what do you think about your upcoming match?
Put the pen down and eat. You can create your Pokemon cards tomorrow.
There's cards.
I said you can create your Pokemon cards.
No, they're actually playing cards.
Okay, you can do those tomorrow. But eat the food.
Yes, while we're eating. Oh, we
No. All right, and that brings us to the last match: Clan Thrust Plunder versus the Cold-Blooded Root Beer. Skilfer, what do you think about this match?
I did get the one level up. If I didn't, I'm very damn close. But I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did, and I think I put block on my source. Um, right. Oh no, I got a source and a skink off of this, so I got two players. I got a source with sidestep. I mean block and a skink with sidestep. So, but I'm also two injuries. So.
I agree with you. I think that with the positioning game, Catter has an edge on Asylum, and the strength game, I believe that Catter also has an edge over with his lizardmen over the orcs. And I think those two things together is what's really gonna tip the scales in the cold-blooded root beer's favor. I believe it's gonna be 1-0 win, possibly 2-0, but I don't think it'll be that much
Right.
scoring. Because once those orcs get the ball, their armor value 9 is going to make it tough to take them out. And I believe that Asylum has a bench, so even if you do take out some orcs, he can start most of his drives at 11.
And you
Right.
had better get in your bed and go to sleep.
Right. He will have some team value rewards as well coming his way, so that can play a factor as well.
But tomorrow when I get home, get some paper on the table. What
So, Catter, what do you think going into this match?
This is going to be a tough one. I think it does come down to positioning, and who's just better at the positioning on this one. If I can avoid the risky moves, I think I could probably I think I could probably come out, but I can easily. I got those 2 injuries with weakened armor value, and that can hurt me pretty bad. So I think I think I have this one, but just barely. A 1-0 or a 1-1, or yeah. I have all my skinks. I just have I think I have like 6 skinks now. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty close one. And that is the inaugural season wrap-up. Let's give a couple honorable mentions for the Open League. I know that my 2 teams, the Pain Train, has been continuing to continue on their win streak. They versed the Flaming Flapjacks and Hams.
hams and flapjacks.
Yeah, and not a lot of pain was dished out, but they did enough with, and they managed to secure the win. And then we managed to finally recruit Johnny No Breaks.
Right.
So now the Pain Train has no breaks.
All right. Another thing of note. We have a new coach in the league, Ann Arganane. His first match was a draw against Smoopy. Pretty tight match. Schmoopy, I think he was playing his half elves on that one, and a couple positioning errors, but other than that, it was a pretty solid match.
It's always good to have more competition in the Open League.
Right. I don't know how many games were actually played in the Open League this week. I know of the 3. Let me look at the schedule if it ever
I know
loads.
my new Bretonian team played in the Open League. The Great Teutons. They played against, I believe, Skilfer's Dwarves, if I remember correctly.
Right. Okay.
And that was an interesting match. It was the first time that I had coached a Bretonian team, and Bressel doesn't really care about block. Wrestle and fend are very annoying things to deal with when you're a dwarf.
Definitely. Also, by the sword. That's Schmoopy's team. I think that's his other human team, if I remember right. Let me go to details here. He also went up against the Shadow's Dirty Hurdies. Yeah, he's got a human team there. And Dirty Hurdies is an orc team. It was another 3-0 win. So there is that. Game of the week, though, by far, was Let me find it here. Freakishly Tall versus Afterlife Inc. Schmoopy brought in a necromantic team into the league, and I used all my luck that I didn't get against my last match against him in the inaugural season. I got all that back with the halflings and beat him 1-0. So that was luck after luck after luck on my part. I could not do any wrong on that match. So
Yeah, it's always a good day when the halflings win.
yes, I had 2 deaths in that match, by the way. Just throwing that out there. And I still won.
2 halflings?
2 halflings.
Oh
yes.
man, what a tragedy.
I know. I'll just replace them next match.
But looking at the leaderboard here, currently number 1 is the Pain Train, with 3 wins, no losses. Number 2 is Troll in the Dungeon, Galen's Orc team, with 3 wins, no losses. Number 3 is Flaming Hams and Flapjacks, Catter's Skaven team, with 3 wins and 1 loss. And number 4 is the Tombstone Tyrants, Arkin's Necromantic team, with 1 win, 0 loss. And number 5 is Galen's Rotten Cheese Nurgle team, with 1 win, no loss. Lots of these teams are at 1,100 team value or higher. There are a few teams under 1,000, but for the most part, a lot of them are at 1050 or above. So it's shaping up to be a good open league.
Definitely. Hopefully we'll get some more matches in this week and more excitement. So.
Yes. All right. Well, that does it for the weekly wrap-up. I'm glad you could join me on this, and I will see you guys out on week 5.
All right. Enjoy.